You tend to think that this is a modern thing, but it isn't. It goes way back, this practice of people getting ideologically hotted up against a new technology.
Our special guest today is Matt Ridley. He's an author, journalist, businessman, sits in the House of Lords, superb science writer. You make a crucial distinction between invention and innovation. Most change, whether it's government or special interests, often meets resistance. You have some wonderful stories. Tell us about coffee, and which was fiercely resisted, and the special interests that try to kill the umbrella, the invention of the umbrella.
Yeah. So when you hear about Friends of the Earth trying to stop fracking, or Greenpeace trying to stop genetically modified crops, you tend to think that this is a modern thing, but it isn't. It goes way back, this practice of people getting ideologically hotted up against a new technology. And coffee is the most extraordinary example of this. Coffee comes into the Middle East and Western Europe in the 1500s, and everywhere it is resisted. And it's resisted for two main reasons. One, because there's a rival industry, the wine and beer industry, which doesn't like people meeting up to drink coffee. And so they employ medics. There's an example I quote in the book of doctors from, I think, was it Marseille University or Toulouse or somewhere, who are commissioned to write a pamphlet saying this coffee thing is bad for the kidneys, bad for the liver, it'll kill you quicker than anything, which is all specious and made up, but it's to defend the special interests of the wine and beer industry. But at the same time, you've got rulers, kings and sultans and people saying, we want to ban coffee. Why do they want to ban coffee? Because basically coffee is drunk in coffee houses, and people get a bit animated when they have coffee, and they often do a lot of talking in coffee houses. And one of the things they talk about is whether the king is doing a good job. So Charles II of England, when he banned coffee houses in 1672, he was very explicit about this. He put out a pamphlet saying, the reason I want to ban coffee houses is because people are telling lies in them. It's basically, he's trying to stop fake news, as he sees it, fake news. But the umbrella was the hansom cab industry in London. The people with horse-drawn cabs. When it came on to rain, their business improved. So they see people walking down the street with an umbrella and not getting in cabs. So they try and make up stories about how dangerous umbrellas are to try and get them banned.
We think of innovation as good. Obviously it is. But you also point out inventions don't lead to utopia. The invention of the printing press not only ginned up the porno industry, but also the one who used it best, which led to terrible religious wars, Martin Luther.
Yeah. Gutenberg is the inventor of printing in Europe, but Luther is the innovator. He's the man who takes advantage of this technology and makes it very widespread. He's the most published author in 16th century Europe, and he's a polemicist, and he's using this new technology to spread fury and rage about the Catholic Church. A lot of it justified, but it does lead to religious wars and terrible death toll and a lot of dissent and all that goes with the Reformation. So it's not all plain sailing. I mean, I wouldn't want to suggest that we shouldn't have invented printing. But something similar happens with radio in the 1920s, a technology that's wonderful in lots of ways, invented by Marconi and developed
by the way, who is both inventor and innovator.
He's a good example of someone who is both an inventor and an innovator, exactly. But Mussolini picks it up, Hitler picks up radio. The radio plays a surprisingly large part in the rise of the dictators. And I think we're living through something similar with social media today, that although it's a fabulous technology for keeping me in touch with what's going on around the world and hearing the voices of lots of different people, I have to admit that it hasn't worked out the way I expected in terms of giving us insights into each other's minds. quite the reverse. It has polarized us and divided us to a surprising extent. And I do worry about that. And I think, we have to admit that innovations come with downsides. And that is an example of one of them. Again, I wouldn't want to be without social media. I think it's a godsend to many people. But we have to learn to tame it. In my mind, Steve, invention means coming up with a new gadget or a widget. And innovation means making that gadget available, affordable, reliable in a way that people can actually use it. It might not be a gadget, it might be a new social practice, it might be a new habit, it might be a new concept. But whatever it is, it's got to be made useful.